Every single client I've worked with has had one when they're going through this vulnerability phase. And every single person has that light bulb.
We, as the CEOs of our life, we hear that imposter syndrome because it's not like, I can't just say, oh, I just don't have it. Like, no, it still creeps up, but I tell it to sit down and shut up.
Right.
Because I am the CEO here.
And maybe your vision needs to be adjusted. And that's okay. Adjust the vision. I know my 3-year vision right now isn't going to be exact in 3 years.
How do you recognize whenever something feels out of integrity? How do you pinpoint that moment and realize to take a step back?
Hello, and welcome back to Going Goddess, the podcast where we don't just glow up, we grow up into the women that we were always meant to be. I'm Cherry.
And I'm Silver Luna. And today's episode is a divine download for anyone ready to lead their life and brand like a goddess in charge.
We're diving into the CEO energy, not just as a career title, but as a chief empowerment officer of your own story. We're talking identity, confidence, creativity, and the power of building something that feels like you.
That's right. And we are so excited. Today, we are going to introduce our guest, Christy. She's a visionary brand builder, an empowerment mentor, and walking embodiment of what it means to turn purpose into power. Christy, I'd love to share with the audience a little bit about you and your brand. Would you like to tell them about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here. I started Cohesive Confidence a year ago, and this was the beautiful brand that came to me very organically. I was at the time a mortgage professional. I had started copywriting. I had launched a skincare brand, and I had received certifications in business strategy and color analysis. All of those very interesting, very exciting offers and services. However, that's a very long introduction in any room you walk into. And the beautiful piece is in 2023, I was at a networking event where the challenge was during our intro to not only say our names, but then also say what we do. And when the what we do was identified and explained, it was not your job title, nor the name of your business, but what was the result that your clients get when they work with you? The most beautiful aha moment that I will ever have in being where I am today will always go back to that moment when I was able to say, my name is Christy Moe, and I create Cohesive Confidence.
Oof, I got chills.
Yes.
The moment it left my mouth, I knew exactly who I was and what my purpose was on this planet. And I have not looked back. Those services have refined themselves. Some have gone away and some have come in and become more prominent. So today, I am the Chief Empowerment Officer at Cohesive Confidence. I help women identify their authentic self and best self, using that with their business and their brand identities, and bringing in color analysis as one element to bring that vision to life, but also create that cohesive identity experience from your closet to the conference room. So no matter where you are, you can show up 100% on brand, even on days you're at the grocery store, at your PTA meeting, at the, walking in the park with your community, doing volunteer work, but you are still your own CEO in your own brand. You don't have to wait for someone else to give you permission to do it.
Ooh,
Yes.
I love that. Man, and it's so cool to it plays into main character energy. Like, imagine knowing your color palette, like for any situation. It's so fun. So yummy, such a fun self-care thing. And of course, we know like colors play into so much more than just like fun to look at. It's very much like a vibe and how we feel. And so being able to capture that about someone and then bring it to life in the colors that they're using is so neat. I'm excited to learn more about that and the cohesive confidence. Um, I would love to know what more, like what all does cohesive confidence entail for you? Like when you're working with someone, there's the color analysis, and then also like what goes into that.
Sure. So, my premier offer includes a brand and business strategy program. It's a 6 month container where we start out with that foundation of exploration. We're really diving into who are you? What are your values? What do you want to create? How do you want people to feel? What do you want to bring forward? What brings you joy? And you really have to get those identity pieces down on paper so you know them, you embody them, you believe them. Because, look, if you don't believe in yourself and you are not embodying the values that you wrote down on the paper, nobody else is going to believe or understand them or see them in you either.
Mhm.
And you're never going to create success and abundance in any capacity. And I'm not just talking financial. None of that will be achieved because you're out of alignment. You say you want these things, but you're not embodying them. So
Mhm.
we get these things identified up front, and then we start to put processes and vision. We pull all of this piece in. And then once we have the vision of where am I going? How do I want this to build? How do I want to grow? Where is my 3 year, 5 year, 10 year plan?
Mm.
What tools am I using? What people are around me? Who is on my team? Who am I walking away from? Where am I showing up in my community? Where am I expanding? Because if you're not expanding, you're staying stagnant, and stagnant becomes stale. And if you're
Mhm.
stale, you're not in alignment anymore either. So you bring the color analysis in at that point because we want to take all of these beautiful elements that you've created on paper and we want to attach them to the colors that create the emotion, the
Mhm.
attraction, the energy, the harmony that allow you to show up with less energy, higher return on your time investment, a higher return on your financial investment, because at that point, you're not spending money on things that don't serve you at your best. I will never tell a woman that she has to wear this color or that color, that one color is good and one color is bad. There are no good and bad. It's this is okay, but this is your best.
Mm.
I want you to show up as your best every single day. There's a reason that I don't use the term future self.
Yeah.
I don't plan for the future, but I plan for growth. I
Mm.
plan for, and I can create a vision of what my best self looks like, who she is, what she embodies, what does she stand for. I can be her today, but I also make a plan to grow into her and grow her even bigger and even more as I elevate that best.
Oof.
Hmm.
Your best doesn't end. Your best continues to get better.
Right.
But your
Definitely.
future self will never ever be the present
It's so true.
Absolutely.
because it will always be in the future.
Hmm.
That is such an important point. Listeners, we talk about our best selves, our highest selves, our most aligned selves, goddess self. And I think often it's easy to say my future self. And we we remove that right now because we care about where we're at today in our present self. And then, like you said, building for growth and developing. And there's no endpoint here. Like
Hmm.
self love can be a goal, and then I want self love times a million. So I'm going to keep figuring out like how to keep growing that confidence and that love. And totally, I love that you're approaching cohesive confidence and such. It starts at the foundation, and it kind of requires. It sounds like anyone that works with you, this kind of really beautiful overhaul of how they think about themselves and life and what lights them up, and then take them on this journey to realizing that. I mean, that's super
Hmm.
special. That is so impactful.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of, and here's the thing. I didn't pull this program out of my hat. This program is absolutely my own story. It
Mm,
is what I have lived. It is everything that I have learned. It is everything I have invested in myself to get to this point. And because I've done it, I know that every other woman deserves to live in this mindset of being empowered in her own authentic self.
Hmm. I love it. My favorite part is how relatable it is and how you've pinpointed a moment that is so relatable to, I think, a lot of us on our goddess journeys. Whenever I'm thinking about your explanation, and how you utilize color analysis in your day to day, for empowerment, I think about whenever I was first starting my goddess journey and I was always wearing black. I didn't wear any color. It was black because it was easy. I didn't have to think about it in the mornings. I could get dressed and everything matched and I looked thinner. And then whenever I started really analyzing myself and, really going on that journey and trying to figure out where I want to go with my life, started picking color and choosing the things that I enjoyed and mattered to me. And I feel like that's kind of a large part of starting at the goddess journey. You're right. You can't be successful without understanding yourself and aligning everything in your life prior to going on that success journey.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, we were never created to be like everybody else. We were created to be uniquely individual with a purpose to serve on this planet.
mm, louder.
I was not created to be like you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what a blessing, because you are beautifully you and I get to be beautifully me.
Yes.
You
Hmm.
know, it's personal for every single client that I get to work with. And I don't want to work with everyone.
Right.
I want to work with the right ones. And everyone is not my client, but the right ones surely are.
Yes.
Right. So I don't go thinking of this place of lack and that I have to go be desperate to go get every single person and sell to every single person. I don't want to sell anything. I want to offer value and be a solution. And that's what I'm offering. I'm not selling it, I'm offering it. And, Cherry, you're so good about pointing out words and making sure that they are words that serve you
Mm,
and not putting you in a place of comparison or lack or fear. And sure, all of those things still exist. But here's the beautiful piece. When we start to recognize where they are showing up in our lives, we get to hold them, take them, put them where we need them to be, and give it a definition that moves us forward.
mm. How very CEO of you. I love that
You
because
know, the CEO piece, it was funny. I hesitated calling myself a CEO because I feel like the perception of a CEO is very elite. It is very isolated. It is a hierarchy in the corporate space of somebody who is untouchable.
mm,
It does not create attraction. It doesn't make me want to go hang out with someone who is a CEO,
mm,
right? The C suite space of living is very exclusive.
that was the word I was going to say too. Yep.
And I instead redefined what CEO is because I want it to be inclusive. Yes, I own my business. I am the founder of my business. I am the result of my business. But for me as an owner, I get to be the chief empowerment officer. That
Mm,
means that it is my call to serve as a woman who will lift others up on a regular basis showing them that they do have the permission to go and be who they were designed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give that permission all day. But sister, if you are not giving permission to yourself,
Yeah.
then we're going to start there and we're going to spend time there until you do.
Yeah. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
that is so
Yeah.
powerful. All of these things that, and you're willing to sit with them until they give themselves permission.
Mm.
We can want change in our lives, and we can want goddess energy. We can want to be the chief empowerment officer of our life. But until we give ourselves that permission to dive in and to get curious and to maybe change some, maybe realize that we might value something different than what we always thought, or we might think about things in different ways. Until we give ourselves that permission, any work that we're doing towards that is, I'm not going to say completely for naught, but it certainly is not as impactful or sustainable or long lasting as it could be, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Christy, was there a moment when you realized you were done waiting for permission and you were ready to claim your own seat at the table?
There was. And it was the moment when I went to my manager's office and, with absolute vulnerability, told him that within a week, my 16-year-old dog had died on a Wednesday. My friend died of colon cancer on a Sunday. And I had another friend take his life the next Wednesday.
Oh.
And that was the end of a 15-month season where I lost 7 people and my 16-year-old dog. My identity was shattered. I woke up every single day wondering who or what was next,
Oh.
and started isolating myself because connections meant more loss. I was in the midst of trying to create income and survive a mortgage career. And mortgage in itself is a very stressful environment, especially in the season that we've been in over the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the response that I got from that individual was stunning. He looked at me and said, "Wow, that's a lot for one person. I'm sorry you're going through all of that." And I kind of let my shoulders drop a little bit because I felt relieved that I had said it and that he responded with what I thought was grace.
Mm-hmm.
The back end of his acknowledgement was, "I'm so glad that you came into my office today. I've been meaning to talk to you. We seem to have a problem in the office with your negative attitude. I've had more than one person come in and tell me that they don't want to be in the office when you are here. And if we don't see a change and a shift in your attitude, we'll need to have another conversation." And I looked at him and I said, "Wow, I know I haven't been incredibly jolly coming in here,
Yeah.
but I also haven't had anyone come to me and ask me what's going on."
Yeah.
And when there is an overly excited promotion of being a family and a team who takes care of one another, to have no one talk to you, but to understand that they are talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the double standard, because things that I had said were also being said by other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not something that seemed to be talked about or concerned with from anyone else toward those people. So there was a double standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I left the office that day taking a large amount of things home with me, because I no longer was going to work in an environment where people had free will to talk about me and observe me in my toughest season.
Yeah.
And the clarity that I received in that room, in that office that day, and then was able to process when I was away from that environment was, how long have I been saying yes to meeting the expectations of others, to edify people in other rooms, to make money for other people, only to have them come behind my back
Right.
and diminish and ignore the expectations that I had for myself in my career? That I was no longer allowed to serve people the way that I wanted to, with my values, my mission, and my goals, but everything that I produced was based off the expectations of someone else.
With a total lack of care for what was going on in your life. You're
Right. And
asking
look,
to show
there's
up.
not everybody's going to be empathetic. And there is a different CEO energy that exists for other people. And that's fine if that's the way that you want to drive your business. But I want to drive my business different. And I
Mhm.
left that environment at the end of January. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of trepidation over how am I going to have this conversation. Because I still had to walk into rooms and see these people and smile and nod,
Mm,
show up and add value so that I was seen. Because if I said nothing, I was not.
mm,
And it was so interesting that it was down to the wire. I knew I was leaving and moving to a different company. And I kept praying, how do I have this conversation? What do I say? Give me the words, because I need to walk out of here with grace and my head held high, but I need to honor myself at the same time.
yes.
Because at that point, I had lost respect
Good for you.
Mhm.
That's really hard and scary.
and I had gained respect for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I got a phone call the day before I was going into the office to turn in my resignation that they were letting me go.
Whoa.
And it
Wow.
was after 5 o'clock. And I just had the biggest grin on my face because I knew that it was not my conversation to have. I still got to leave with dignity,
Mm-hmm.
with my character in check, my values in check. And it was that moment that I said, I'm going to brand myself. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know I was going to be launching my own business within 2 years, year and a half. I had no idea. I started networking and attending a mastermind, a group mastermind, group coaching. I met a brand photographer. I had already bought my name in a domain, which I still have, and I'll turn it into a personal blog at some point. So I had the domain. I met the brand photographer, took brand photos that aligned with the way I wanted to be seen, the way I wanted to show up. I still use those photographs today. They still represent me doing the work that I get to do. It's not the work I have to do. It's not the work I need to do. It's the work that I get to do.
Absolutely.
So that was the long version. But I think every single element in that makes a difference in the way that I show up in my business today.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I'd like to take a second to just acknowledge that that year and a half, I believe that you said. I mean, I can't imagine going through that year that you went through. And I know that I'm sure that at no point in that year were you like, and this is going to be part of my story that leads to cohesive confidence. This is going to lead to me leaving my job. This is going to me lead to me becoming the CEO of my life and empowering women to become the CEOs of their life. And so like now we can look back and see like so much that came from that. And the reason I bring that up is because I know that we have some listeners right now going through some of the hardest times of their life, and they have no idea how there could be any positive, good thing that comes out of it. And you are a walking testimony of going through the shit and at the and like still, you know, growing and all of the things, and not saying that then it was all better, but something really beautiful and life giving was a result of that, and you leaning into yourself, and you didn't have to become someone else to become the CEO. You just saw it, you just recognized it, you just woke up to yourself and what you deserve, and that you weren't willing to stay in places where people were talking about you and not seeing you for the value that you provide just by being in that room. I celebrate you. I celebrate you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really proud of myself for the resilience that I embody and being able to recognize. And I'm now at the point that when I start to slide backwards, and there are days I do, it hasn't been great for all the moments since 2023 until today. The past 2 years themselves have been incredibly brutal in a lot of ways and with more loss.
Mm,
I've reinvented and brought myself back again this year.
mm,
Yeah.
But
Resilient.
because of the path that I have gone on through 2021, 22 into 2023, where my word of the year was bloom. And in
mm.
the first 4 months of 2023, I stepped into being an independent mortgage broker where I got to set my standards.
Yeah, girl.
I had set my boundaries. I set my standards. My values started to appear. I attracted the right people. I got my brand photographer. My brand started to take shape. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. But the independent mortgage broker, I was invited to get my business strategist certification. I launched a skincare brand, and I started copywriting professional bios for women who had no idea how to introduce themselves when they got into a networking room. If they were invited to speak or be present in another space, instead of giving someone else the power to introduce you, you have the power to tell them how to do so.
Cool.
So I was doing all these things and I loved it. But then here comes the, oh my gosh, you do so much, I really don't know what you do.
Mm,
And because I was saying yes and I had attracted all of these things and ways for me to show up, I didn't know how to bring it all together until that networking meeting where I got that prompt and cohesive confidence came up in the surface. And I immediately knew the second I said it, that was my business. That was my brand. That was my business. I knew I was showing up in hot pink. I knew that I liked a little bit of sparkle. I knew all of these things. And as I continue to move and evolve forward, I get to decide how those elements continue to show up.
full CEO. Full CEO. How do you stay true to yourself, like while you're still growing and evolving? Um, like because it's easy to be excited about a lot of things and then be like, oh, maybe I can do this, and I'm this person, and like, so how do you stay true to like your purpose and cohesive confidence?
Centering is essential. And I have a pretty heavy rule that says you need to get a journal. And if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen.
Mm,
I still believe in a paper planner. I use my digital one regularly. It's good for on the go. But as I'm moving through each and every single day, making decisions over people that I bring into my program as added resources, the programs and participations, that I engage with? What chamber am I going to join? What networking meetings am I showing up at? What rooms do I need to enter that I haven't found yet? Where are my ideal clients hanging out? What content do I need to post on social media? All of these elements are ways that I get to show up in my brand. And the second that something doesn't feel like it's working the way I want it to, my core values are listed on my website on the homepage. I don't hide behind them. I don't keep them quiet, but I will always go in there and check. Are these checking the boxes aligned with my values? And if they are not, do my values need to be adjusted? Or do my actions? And that's nothing different than what I ask my clients to do. You're putting processes in place. Okay, well, let's hold on. Let's go back. Is that in alignment with your priorities list? Is that in alignment with your core values? Is that in alignment with your mission statement? Yeah. Is that in alignment in helping you create the result your clients get when they work with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
ask yourself these questions. You have to.
Yeah. So what type of mindset shifts helped you start thinking like a CEO in business and in life?
So I will tell you something that really started to help me calm the chaos was medication.
So if you need to get medicated, yep.
I needed someone to help me understand what I need, like why and what was happening. And I did get diagnosed just last year with ADHD and PTSD. I knew that I had them, but to hear someone else validate them felt really great and allowed me to go out there and be present and not shrink out of shame for something I didn't understand. So I've really leaned into educating myself around all of these elements. I fully believe the mindset shift, because I do get defensive. I like to defend people that I see being singled out or made to feel small. Coming from some childhood trauma where I saw abuse, I think really set me up in that frame of mind that I have to go protect and defend. And it's so funny when we recognize that we're so good at doing things like that for other people, but haven't necessarily been doing them for ourselves.
There you go. Yep.
And when I got to recognize that I set my boundaries a lot tighter, my circles got smaller, my tolerance for bullshit got a lot smaller.
Yes.
And I quit apologizing for it.
Yes. That's huge.
I wasn't making excuses anymore to make somebody else feel better. And being able to see and the discernment piece is huge. I have a gift of discernment, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because when you start to recognize you think people are being nice or doing things that benefit you. And I had someone do this one time that I had a temp job, and they let me go like right before Christmas or right before December, Thanksgiving. And this company sold goods to give back and build schools in third world countries. And here I was being let go before the holidays with no opportunity to get hired or find anything else before the end of the year. Nobody's hiring then. They're closing their books on the year.
Yeah.
They've got other priorities and calendars, and you know how hectic the holiday season is. And I told him, he said, well, we want to say thank you. Here's a purse and a wallet for you. And it was, does that make you feel better about leaving somebody without employment before the holidays?
Right.
Because that's not for me.
Oof.
You think I want to carry your goods out and advertise for you and be so thankful that you gave me a purse when I don't know how I'm going to help my family celebrate Christmas or even have the gas to get there? I sold the purse and made money.
Atta girl. Atta girl.
That's exactly, well, it was true. Like, he didn't do that for me. And then
No.
he said, "Oh, I hadn't thought about it in that way. Thank you for saying something. Do you want to come work in the shipping department? That'll at least get you some money to go through December." And I said, "Honestly, no, because you're just doing that to make yourself feel better about what you've just done here."
Yeah. Good for you
Mhm.
for having that boundary.
Yeah, that takes courage.
It's stunning. It is stunning when people promote something, they think they're doing you a favor. And all of these moments of engagement around employment that just chipped away at my self-esteem
Mm,
and had every single opportunity to not make me better, but to make me smaller.
mm.
And how many women are sitting out there today wishing that they could have been what they dreamt of as a little girl before someone else told them that it wasn't enough?
So many.
Hmm. Yep.
So
I
many.
know. I was just looking at a memorabilia that I found in a box the other day with my friend in town. And number one, what did you want to be, or what do you want to be when you grow up? An actress and a singer. And I was like,
Oh,
man, if only like I'd had some, like positive reinforcement as a child, that could have been so nice. It could be on stage right now. I think Cherry and I have talked about like having big sold out shows at this time in our lives if we wanted to do a duo.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I think, hey, it's not too late. Okay. If you want to be a singer or an actress, it's not too late
Right.
for this. I hold firmly to the truth that Ellen got her first show at 40. Like she was already doing things, which we're already doing things, but like her show came at 40. And so I hold on to that. But I mean, Christy, going back to your point, what I'm hearing is like the mindset shift came when you woke up to you deserved so much more. And then you saw your eyes were open to all of the places where people that said that they were for you were falling short and they were not
Mhm.
showing up for you. And like, even in a business that doesn't necessarily like align with like a coaching practice or something for me. So I'm in tech in my 9 to 5. And I still feel aligned with my purpose in that. And I feel part of a community that wants to see me grow and succeed, not just in getting the sales for this tech business, but in life. And I know that that is so rare. And I love that you are a CEO calling people out on the bullshit of like, hey, you tried to present this as something for me, but this was for you in the midst of you hurting me. And to have that person be like, oh, I'm so glad that you said that. And then give you a lame job offer that like, I'm glad you said no to that. But yeah, like the mindset shift is realizing that we really can become the people that we've always wanted to be, that we were always meant to be. We are not stuck. It is scary to realize that and then to maybe make the choices like you made. And it's always for you. Like the more that we're making choices that are aligned with our best self and our purpose and our CEO being in control of our lives, even the scary moments are worth it. And that's what I'm hearing you say.
You can learn from them. You can either allow those things to keep you in a place that doesn't feel great, or you can decide, and you have to decide. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission to change it. You have to decide to do that for yourself. And look, January and February of this year, I didn't work at all because I found myself having to navigate once again something very, very unexpected where my entire identity shifted in in a moment at a dining room table. I lost my home that day. I lost my financial security that day. I lost the identity of being someone's plus one that day.
Mm.
And I moved in with my dad that day, 6 months after my mom died. So you want to talk about things to knock you off your feet? Did I continue to show up in my business? Not for a couple of months, because my identity was just shot down. There are days that I didn't want to wake up, or I didn't want to get out of bed.
Mm.
I didn't know how do I show up in confidence for cohesive confidence when I'm feeling completely knocked down on the floor.
Yeah.
And I knew, I gave myself a date. I said, I'm coming back at the beginning of March. And every time, and the reason I decided to do that was because every time I opened my mouth and someone asked me what my business was about, what was I doing? Every time I started talking about my business, I was no longer small. I was no longer uncertain. My identity in my business was rooted, it was grounded because it was true. It just makes me angry the way that so many elements, I think, held me back from where I am or what I was supposed to be doing, because it's unconventional, right? Like, nobody wakes up and dreams of a little girl to be independent and entrepreneurial and single and all of this. Like, I'm turning 50 this year, and this 50 looks absolutely different than what I thought 50 should be because of what society said 50 should be.
Yeah. Fuck the shoulds. We don't do that. We don't do that here.
Mm.
Right. Oh, I tell people all the time, don't shit on yourself.
I want that on a shirt too.
I live by rules are arbitrary.
Yeah.
I love that.
But my parents they've always been, they worked in oil and gas. My dad still does. My mom, obviously, I said passed, but that's where they met, was working for Shell in Houston. And it was, get up, go to work, come home, cook dinner, family activities or kid activities, and go to bed. Wait, I mean, it was just this routine, this very structured, suburbia way of life of, just drilled by routine and performance. So,
But none of
and
us want that. We're like, that's not the
yeah,
life. No, that's
yeah. I mean, I was music, band, choir, orchestra, French, like very fine arts driven. And, all of these things that didn't necessarily need to be defined by an office job.
exactly.
Because how mundane and routine, no wonder none of those worked.
I know. That's what I'm hearing.
Like, I can be the yes girl, but it doesn't feel great for me to say yes all the time because I don't agree with the way that you talk to people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're the CEO, and the CEO doesn't say yes to everything. They only say
Exactly.
yes to what is in line with their business or their brand. And this case, brand is us. I mean, and your business as well. Um,
Right.
Something for our listeners, because we talked about like the romantic life with Sally, and I love that this is the CEO era, because there are women out here that want that, and I love how you've broken it down with like step one, you've got to like get in line with your priorities, your purpose, your mission, your vision. Like that is step one, and then you've built your life and your brand on top of that, and I think that is beautiful. And so like needed, because there are different, everyone's at different places, and I'm moving into like a CEO energy, the CEO era in my life, very slowly, but I'm learning so much from you, and how you think about things, and excited to eventually work with you on the color analysis. Not ready quite yet, but um, very soon. Like we are each our own brand. We are each our own main character. And I think that's really like something that we are highlighting in this podcast and in the Goddess Collective, of how can you become even more like your brand. Like people know Cherry as Cherry, and she's gonna wear Cherry things, and she's gonna make her bracelets, and she's gonna post some unhinged TikToks, like, and all the things that go into my brand. And Silver Luna is so much her brand, and I want to help every goddess listening to like get excited about building their own brand. And you don't have to have something that you sell to have a brand. You can be embody that and live your life as that CEO of your brand, um, without an end game.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you said that, because we all have a brand. Every single one of us. When you see the post on Facebook of, tell me one word that reminds you of me,
Mm.
describe me with 3 words. What do you think of when you think of me? And we see these engagement posts going out over and over and over again. And some do it just for fun. And it's nice to receive the feedback. It's
Mhm.
nice to see what people think of you. But others are 110% doing this as part of a strategy. It
Yeah.
is to increase engagement so their posts are seen on a regular basis by more people. And that's branding, right? Like the content that I post that gets the most engagement are personal stories. People undoubtedly would say Christy's brand is authentic.
Yeah.
Christy does vulnerability well.
Yes.
And the reason that vulnerability works is because vulnerability is my number one power tool.
Yes. We've
Mhm.
actually been going through vulnerability on in the Goddess Collective every morning with Silver Luna reading us "Dare to Lead" by Brene Brown, who we know is a champion of
Incredible book.
vulnerability.
Absolutely incredible. She is one of my favorite people to read.
Oh
I
yes.
read every single year for the past 3 years. I have read The Gifts of Imperfection at least once.
Nice.
And one of the biggest takeaways I've gotten from that book, when she says, stop defining failure as the end point. Failure is learning.
Yeah.
Start telling people that you are learning. You are not failing if you continually use that event where you do not succeed at one goal and move it into a next goal. You have to continually do this. And
Mhm.
I did this when I was doing CrossFit. I did CrossFit for 6 years and I loved lifting. It was the most empowering thing. But the biggest lesson of all is that I learned how to fail, and I learned how to fail to use it to my advantage. Because if you've ever done any kind of strength training or weightlifting, pushing yourself to do more weight than you think you can, and when you succeed, it's this holy shit, I'm so strong. Like, this feels amazing, coolest thing ever. And then the days that you don't hit that weight, for me, it was okay, well, what do I need to do to get there?
Yeah.
Because then I knew what the goal was.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite quote, I just shared a post on in the Goddess Collective the other day about failing from Brene Brown, and it's daring is not saying I'm willing to risk failure. Daring is saying I know I will eventually fail and I'm still all in.
Yeah.
She's incredible. I completely agree about vulnerability as an incredible tool to use in the workplace, as long as there's no stealth intent behind it, as long as it's honest and it's from a good place. Absolutely, vulnerability is where it's at.
And I think that's how we're going to connect with clients the best as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone that's showing up as perfect, I'm like, that's cool. You are perfect. I don't know that there's space for me there because I am not perfect. And, there's a lot of pressure for me to go through this program perfectly so that I can have this perfect result. But when we show up vulnerably and, even when we're not feeling maybe 100% confident, that is so much more real. And so, like, Chrissy, as far as visibility goes and showing up even when you don't feel 100% confident, like what has been your biggest lesson there, and like your biggest way to overcome that?
Yeah. So there's a gentleman that I follow regularly on social media. He is an AI guru, and in the world of everybody starting to use AI, but it's also how are we using it, and where is it getting crowded or muddy? His name is Jonathan Mast, and he has a AI for entrepreneurs community on Facebook that is enormous, thousands upon thousands of participants. But one thing that he said in a workshop I attended, and it has resonated and stuck with me, and I have used it over and over and over again. It is better to get it done than to wait for it to be perfect.
Yes.
So do it today imperfectly. And that's always going to be better than waiting for perfection. As somebody who loves to create this idea of a perfect flow, because the idea of that feels so good. And I even feel it here in my chest when I say it. Like it's this little fluttery feeling like, oh,
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Imperfect
perfect
action
flow.
is better than no action, always.
Yes, yes. And so I really encourage anybody who participates in anything that I offer, if it's a color analysis and the brand integration, if it is the 6 month becoming brand and business container, if it is a workshop, I'm doing an AI workshop for beginners this month. It any of this, simply show up and be willing to fail, be willing to be imperfect. There is only one perfect individual that I know who has ever walked this planet. And we are always trying to get there.
Mm.
But that's great. It goes back to you can be your best today and make a plan for what that best is to become.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Always.
I know you mentioned earlier that whenever you feel sometimes you come out or you're not sure if you're in alignment with your values, you check your website to see your core values and line them up against whether or not you're still in alignment. How do you how do you recognize whenever something feels out of integrity? How do you pinpoint that moment and realize to take a step back and make sure that you're
Yeah. I'm going through this right now actually because I just rewrote my base program,
Mm.
and I went from a 3 month container to a 6. I had to make sure and receive validation that what I was doing was correct, that the feedback I was getting about it was correct. Because it has not kicked off just yet, it kicks off on August 15th.
Yay, coming up.
Yes. It's the
Mm.
same week that kids go back to school, that moms start to breathe a little bit for getting back into a routine, but also a great time for them to do something for themselves and pour into themselves a little bit. just because I have announced it on social media doesn't mean that people are running to sign up. And as entrepreneurs, especially an entrepreneur still in early development, I continue to refine. And I have this visual of cohesive confidence where it shows every element that we engage in, and it's cyclical. And we have to be willing to get into this cycle of cohesive confidence. And it starts with that vulnerability where we go through the acknowledgement, the acceptance, and the surrender. You have to be aware that something is happening with the acknowledgement. You have to be able to say, hey, you know what? I didn't do this perfectly. And then the surrender is I've got to set it down and I've got to start over, or I've got to start from this new starting point and be willing to refine, because then we go from vulnerability into vision where we refine, redesign, or refine, realign, and redesign. You're going to refine it. You're going to realign it. Then you're going to redesign it. And once you get from that vision, then you go into the flow. Because once you've done these 6 pieces, then you go into the final 3. And that is putting things into action. You have to try out the action to make sure that it is in alignment, because you go from vulnerability to vision to flow. And once you get into that flow, you're going to live there for a little bit and it's going to feel good and you get to enjoy it. But just like people that are not using AI right now, and they may be doing okay right now, but eventually that's going to make an impact on their bottom line when they don't engage and include that component in their business strategy. Because their competition is absolutely doing it and they're going to kick their pants. So look at every single element. And I'm not saying you have to go heavy on this AI bit, but where can it serve you?
Yeah.
In what you're doing and where you want to go. And maybe your vision needs to be adjusted. And that's okay. Adjust the vision. I know my 3-year vision right now isn't going to be exact in 3 years, because my business is going to grow differently. The communities that I go into, the rooms that I get to step into, and my goodness, I have a 50 for 50 list that I'm compiling right now of 50 things that I want to accomplish in the year 50 of my life. And one of those is to have 50 appearances on podcasts and stages.
Awesome.
4 of those being paid gigs. I know exactly what I'm planning for next year, but all the work that I get to do next year changes what that 3-year trajectory looks like. But if I don't have a plan for what I'm working toward today for that 3-year, I will continue to throw spaghetti at the wall and hoping something will stick. And when it starts to fall off, your girl ain't never going to eat. And I like to eat.
Same.
Eating's good.
We stay fed up here. I love that. And so what I'm hearing from there in the vulnerability and then vision and then flow, and really as far as like things falling out or not aligned, when something feels out of integrity with your brand, we can't even know that until we have that vision and that vulnerability turning into that vision. And then we get to, like you said, throw spaghetti at or whatever. That's the wall that we're throwing spaghetti at. And does that fall? Is that aligned? Does that fall within the integrity of the vision? If not, then we, like you said, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we surrender to the fact that, okay, this is actually not aligned. And I might need to refine this. I need to rethink this piece because it's not aligned with my vision, which was created from my vulnerability of being true to myself and knowing what my values are.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do we recognize that something isn't working? Like, we can't continue to put band-aids on things and expect that to be the fix.
Right.
You have to be willing to rip off the band-aid because you've already acknowledged that something doesn't work. And when you start to get physically ill because things are not in alignment and things are not working, and you've acknowledged that, it's like having symptoms and being sick, but you refuse to go to the doctor thinking that it's just going to get better. And that's not what's happening. You have to not only acknowledge it, you have to accept that says, hey, you know what? This isn't getting better. This isn't fixing it. And that's the acknowledgement, and then the acceptance. You accept that this isn't working. It's not getting better. It's not producing any better results. I'm continuing to flounder. So then you call the doctor and make the appointment. And that's the surrender.
Yeah.
And those first steps are the hardest part.
It is. It is. And I haven't talked a whole lot about that being the starting point within my program out loud on social media, on public platforms, because I don't want to scare someone away.
Like, it is scary.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what so many people need.
It is the most beautiful thing and one of my favorite moments. And every single client I've worked with has had one when they're going through this vulnerability phase. And every single person has that light bulb, that moment of, oh my gosh, I'm sitting on a gold mine. I know what this can look like. Now we can start. Now we can go into vision.
That's cool. Wow. I love that. For women who are just getting started, or maybe getting started in the vulnerability piece, they have just woken up to what I'm doing right now is not working for me, and I want to be the CEO of my life. I don't know where to begin. They keep talking about empowering. What I don't even know what that is. So, what is one empowering belief or mantra that you would give to every goddess that are starting out building and embodying their brand?
Can you repeat that again?
Yes. What is one empowering belief or mantra that you wish every goddess building a brand could embody? Is another way of asking that.
So it's the tagline to my Becoming Brand and Business program.
Cool.
And it takes my word of the year from 2023 and my word of the year from 2024, which are bloom and flourish. Bloom in your vision and flourish in your flow.
Ooh. I love that. I love that.
It's what's possible. It is every single element of that, and every single thought, every single feeling in your body when it is said is all possible.
Mm-hmm.
You simply have to be willing to allow it to happen.
Yeah, get out of your own way a lot of times.
Be ready to accept.
And stop thinking that you don't deserve it.
Oof.
Oh man, I just watched another podcast last night about somebody talking about imposter syndrome. And it was fine. I don't know. I kind of have mixed emotions on how I feel about it. They're saying basically imposter syndrome is an excuse for saying that you're not comfortable doing something, but in reality, you're just insecure, which I agree to an extent. It's a harsh way of saying it. But also, I don't know. Imposter syndrome does become one of those limiting beliefs that gets in everybody's way, and then you do lean on it. Like the moment that somebody starts saying that they have imposter syndrome, it becomes a crutch.
Yep, I agree. We, as the CEOs of our life, We hear that imposter syndrome because it's not like I can't just say, "Oh, I just don't have it." Like, no, it still creeps up, but I tell it to sit down and shut up
Right?
because I'm the CEO here. It has no
Exactly.
place to me. And you're exactly right, Silver Luna. It is a lie based off of a limiting belief, based off of a story that we told ourselves at some point in our life that maybe was there to protect us at that time. Now we are in control of our lives, and we get to tell all those limiting beliefs how wrong they are, and maybe we have to do it 500 times a day. But anyways, I feel very strongly about just like punching imposter syndrome in the face,
Yep.
like
Me too.
because he's there. I don't know why I just made him a he, but maybe because girls roll, boys droll, and just kidding, we love men as well and non-binaries, but um, yeah, that it's just I go to war with this guy a lot, imposter syndrome, and I'm at a place now where he's beat up. Like he's like, okay, you can do whatever you think that you can do. We'll just do that. But in the past, it can have such a big seat at the table, and we just need to keep kicking him out as much as possible.
Hmm.
On
Yeah.
that road.
Yep.
The other side of that is, and I have clients go through this exercise where write a thank you letter. But this thank you letter is going to be addressed to every single moment that someone told you no. Every single time someone said you weren't good enough, you weren't invited, you weren't qualified, you didn't pass the test, that your dreams were too audacious, that you were foolish, that you were close but not quite. Because the reason for that is holding on to all of these limiting beliefs that were created because someone else didn't agree with your vision or your authenticity, that you were, and you can be too much for some people. Because Lord knows I am I am way too much for a lot of people,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Because you know what? The people that I'm too much for are not the people that I want to hang out with.
100%.
That's correct.
Thank you, bless and release.
Yep.
Love that.
Bless and release, bless and release. But the imposter syndrome, what's so interesting to me, and I have found myself in that place, especially in designing and redesigning and refining and realigning all of my things. It can get kind of crowded in the business coach space.
Mm, yeah.
And I don't necessarily refer to myself as a coach as I am a strategist, because you can have a plan, but your plan is shit if you don't have a strategy.
True.
Hmm.
You have a plan for all of this to happen, but if you don't know how you're going to get there, then throw it in the trash. Because all it's going to do is make you feel like garbage, because you haven't allowed yourself to be strategic enough to figure out how. But the imposter syndrome starts to come in when I'm looking to see what all these other people are offering.
Mm-hmm.
How much are they charging? What tools are they using? How many emails are they sending out every month? How big is their email list? And this whole idea of comparison starts to come in. And then it's the self-doubt of, am I certified to do this?
Hmm.
How are people going to trust that I know what I'm talking about?
And those are the thoughts you got to fight.
Every single day.
Yep.
Every single day. But then I'm also validated when I get feedback, when people hear what I'm doing. And this is, oh my gosh, nobody else is doing this. I had a lady from Washington, D.C. that I talked to this past week, who interviewed me for an opportunity to sit on the leadership council for the National Small Business Association,
Wow.
which
Wow.
is an advocacy group that goes to Washington to advocate for people like us who have small businesses. I've never met this woman. I filled out an online application with a brief overview of what my business is and what I get to do here.
Mm.
And she said, I just have to tell you that what you have is absolutely incredible. You have just touched on something that people have been missing out on for years. And I can't believe you're only charging this much.
Mhm.
And
That's
I
great.
just raised my prices. I just raised my prices.
Atta girl.
Nice.
Oh, you
But I
adjusted.
know the
You
value.
felt that it wasn't enough at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. We're creating high end offerings. And I think to your point on that is because it's not just a service, it's not just a product. It is an energy, it's a life work, it's your purpose that you are pouring into someone. It is a very high end offer. This is not for thousands of people to just be able to like, oh, I'll just click in and I'll get my little color analysis quiz done. No, you're pouring your life energy into these people that you're working with and helping them not only build their brand but like create this incredible life. And that is a very high end offer. And
Yeah.
that is, I
Well,
mean, it's,
and
we have to put a price on it, but
we do have to put a price on it. And that's why when I reset my color analysis program, I knew that I didn't simply want to offer color analysis for anybody to just go get their colors. How small is that service? Because what I do and what my specialty is the brand integration of that color analysis. I don't want to make my service smaller because people don't want the brand piece. Why would I take away the brand piece when every single person has a brand?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's my expertise. That is what I do. And look, you don't have to sign up for the 6-month container to get the color analysis. It can be a separate service. But I also know that in 2026, my prices are increasing.
That's awesome.
Good for you.
I have 25 color analysis that I'm offering at the price that it is now before it goes up.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I
And
hope
that
that,
feels great.
yeah, I mean, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so aligned. And I hope that listeners that have brands that they're working on right now, maybe take a second to take stock of how much they've been charging and what are they putting into it. And we don't have to break it down to like actual, like, I don't like cost analysis on there, but like what really feels good, because it's hard to put a dollar amount on like my purpose and the amount of energy that I'm pouring into someone. And so like raise your prices, like do what feels good. And then the people that are meant for you will purchase your services at that price, even if it feels like it's so much. When we charge less for something, and like if you were to just do the color analysis and not do the brand thing, that might attract people that are not aligned with what you're hoping for them to achieve. Does that make sense? Like they might not be willing to put in the work needed to achieve the result that you say that your
Right.
services provide.
Right.
We require our clients to show up as well.
And for clarification, it is important for the goddesses to make sure that they do full thorough cost analysis before they
Yes.
submit their prices to their clients. Make sure they know what they want to charge and what their value is. I think it's
Thank you.
important to do a full audit of their time and what they think their services are worth to somebody else. If a package is really only a matter of a few emails over every week for the course of a month, is that package worth $500? No, that's not taking anybody's time. That could be done on an AI bot. It's worth $20. To make sure, like, for our goddesses that are getting started and really analyzing their time, it's important to make sure that you
Yeah.
fully value yourself and don't undervalue that hourly or salary rate.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
It's so easy. It's so easy to feel guilty for charging people for something that feels so authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yeah.
Mhm.
struggled with it. I've struggled with it. But also, once I got the clarity on, and for color analysis, for example, if I go online and I look at what are other people charging for virtual color analysis, because everything I do is done on a virtual platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, those prices feel pretty good. So then I go and I adapt their prices based on what their descriptors are. And these are people simply doing the color analysis piece. They're not doing coaching or strategies. They're not offering supplemental, like I have an online jewelry boutique that I bring in as an extension of the color analysis, because don't go reshop your entire closet. I don't want you to throw stuff out simply because it may not be in your color palette, but let's bring in accessories that allow your color palette to come forward a little bit easier. And you can wear that with 5 or 6 different pieces in your closet. That is a value stack, right? But it's also elevating confidence. So every single service within the brand is an element of confidence. But the
Mm.
color analysis, for me to include the brand expertise, you get an upfront interview where we go over the intake form and all your photos that you submitted. I do the color analysis within 3 days. You get a 9-page results review. Then we have a follow-up Zoom on making sure that you understand your results and how you can start to use this in your daily branding, in your closet. You're going to save money, like all of these elements of things that you get to pull into high value color analysis experience.
Nice. That's awesome.
And then
Well,
for people who are in direct sales, I want to use this as an example because there's a lot of people who are representing somebody else's brand.
Yes.
Keep this in mind. If you work for a corporation and you have a standard, 8 to 5 job that you go to every day under someone else's brand, look at the colors of that brand. If they are in alignment with you, your values, the emotions that you want to embody or create between connections. But if this is not in your color palette, why are you branding yourself as somebody else's colors when you have your own? How can
Very.
you start to create harmony between these two things? How can you go create your own brand inside of someone else's business?
good
Really
questions.
interesting. I like that because that also creates some space for for those of us that are like, okay, I want to become CEO. I am not totally resonating with the brand that I'm working at, but I'm not at the place where I want to overhaul my entire life. It is possible to create your brand within someone else's, within a different container. Get still be
Absolutely.
that. I love that.
Absolutely. I have a lady that she wears bright red Sally Jesse Raphael glasses. And if I'm probably just dated myself
I'm like,
with
I
the
don't very cool glasses. I'm sure. I don't know. I'm
she
not good at
was
design.
she was a talk show host
Oh, okay.
back in the 90s, and she had blonde hair. She always wore, professional business attire, but she had red rimmed glasses. It was her trademark.
Nice.
Everybody knew that was one of her things. Here I am in 2025, 30 plus years later, and I still remember her for her red rimmed glasses.
I love that.
That's her brand.
Yep, I actually saw a girl last night at a show that I went to, and whenever I saw her, I was like, "Jesus!" My husband, it's like, "Jesus, I think that's my friend Callie. Is that her?" And it was only because of her glasses too. They were very long or very big circular glasses that were her brand, and she's an artist that I met here in Jacksonville. And as soon as I saw her in her baggy pants, that looked like overalls. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's her. It wasn't. It was somebody that was, I'm pretty sure, her
Oh,
doppelganger.
nice.
Because her boyfriend also looked very similar to Callie's boyfriend. And that was really crazy. But
That's
you're
cool.
right, though. I can totally see how like individual accessories can make a brand for a person. Kind of like my
Yeah,
hair.
Cherry. Yeah, your hair, Silver, your hair could absolutely be your brand. Cherry, your hot pink lipstick could absolutely be your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are the things that people will start to tune into when they look at branding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. This is a very fun exercise. Like listeners, like what what do you love like wearing or putting on? What makes you feel the best and like most goddess, the most aligned, most powerful? And like where can you add more of that and not be afraid to wear if it's a hot pink lipstick, wear it to Walmart, wear it to the gym. Like and this is I say wear it to the gym. Maybelline like matte super stay. Like look at that. Nothing nothing. I can wear it to the gym. But like I challenge you to find those pieces or those like character I don't know, facets of your life, pieces, accessories, colors, and wear it in places that you maybe wouldn't in the past and like see how empowering that can feel to wear heels to the grocery store or whatever it looks like. And experiment. That's another thing. Like we try things out for our brands and maybe they land a little bit for some time and then something happens and then it's no longer aligned with us. We get rid of it and we bring something else in. I think we can really experiment too and have fun with it.
I love that. And to your point, Cherry, don't, whenever you've tried something once and it's not comfortable, don't give up because the first time was uncomfortable. It took me like 2 months to feel comfortable with dreads in my hair. And I was like, it was that imposter syndrome. Are people going to think less of me because I put stuff in my hair? Blah, blah, blah. Just do it and keep going. Do it again. Make sure it's not that feeling of that fear of what others are going to think of you or that imposter syndrome creeping in. You don't know if you only do the thing that makes you uncomfortable once. Do it twice,
Yeah,
do it 3 times. Then you'll know if you're still uncomfortable.
totally. And like now you like Silver Lining, you have little girls coming up to you like wanting to hug you or get a picture with you or just say hi because I think that you're like a real life walking princess mermaid, which you are, and goddess.
I did
Um,
give a bunch of those stickers out last night. That was fun.
oh, fun. And so then okay, so like what you just said, and we can apply Christy's framework to it of the refine, realign, and then redesign
Yep,
for these
exactly.
things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always going to continue to evolve.
Yep.
Always. You don't ever want your brand to be done.
Yeah. We want to age like fine wine.
You're always better tomorrow. Just keep
I
doing
mean, I'm
better.
turning
Be
50
better.
and I think I look better. My skin is better. My confidence is higher.
Hmm.
And the things that I allow myself to go and do and participate in are the things that I'm known for now. I have a friend in New Braunfels where I moved from up to before I moved to Dallas, and she said, "You know, you're like the fog. You show up everywhere." And because I'm always putting myself in places where I know that my ideal audience is hanging out. I don't want to hide. Why would I hide? Why would I go be alone in every single capacity? I'm allowing myself to travel more and I get to do that by myself.
That's
I
awesome.
booked a badass trip for myself for Christmas and New Year's and my 50th birthday. But I'm going to go to London for Christmas Day and I'll be there before I go to Paris. I go to Paris the day before my birthday, which is the 30th. I knew I wanted some badass fireworks. And
Nice.
Oh,
so I'm going to go to Paris for my birthday, for New Year's. I'm doing a photo shoot while I'm
oh,
there. And then I'm coming back to London and then coming back to Texas. But
that's so exciting.
it's insane.
That is exciting.
Yes. And I'd like to say I you did a side by side picture a couple of years ago, and then
No,
I
it was
think
2024, January 2024 until now.
you look so different. You look amazing. I think yes. Like I haven't seen you like years ago, but I agree with you. I think that you are the best that you ever have. I mean, you're glowing, and your energy, your confidence. We spend time together every morning, watching each other's lives and stuff. And um, yeah, the confidence that you bring to my day, just in who you are and the way that you're working through your business and the way that you connect with people. Like you said, you do put yourself in the places for you to be seen and you to connect with other people that are bringing you new opportunities. And so, like, I see you being brave with your life. I was telling Silver Luna, I was like, this girl's at a different networking event, like every half hour about because like, and it's so cool and brave. That's a very brave thing to do. I love you're living your brand. It is evident.
Well, thank you. And my whole mindset around being present and going to different things, nobody cares if I'm sitting on my couch.
Damn straight.
That's true.
They don't know I exist if I'm sitting on my couch doing nothing, if I'm not making connections, if I'm not getting up, going out, exploring. This world was created for me to live in, not to sit on my couch.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So be willing to make the risk, but also go places where you know that you can add value.
Yeah.
I don't walk into every room thinking that I'm going to receive it, but where do I need to go to give it?
Mm,
Yep. And
powerful.
can I just also add, not to expect it either, to walk in knowing your
Yes.
worth, but not expecting others to see that of you before you ever give them a reason to know your worth.
Mm,
Right.
that's powerful.
People want to hang out with people they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
So you have to build trust.
And you do that by showing up imperfectly.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And, don't be afraid to give yourself a pause before you walk in the door and saying, okay, who do I need to see? Who is in there for me to connect with?
Mm,
What would add value to my world? Where can I add value to theirs?
yes.
Because
Mm-hmm.
every room is different.
I think the another like a piece of that is collaboration over competition. So many times we can walk into rooms and like, all right, how am I gonna achieve my goals? And where you have reframed that of where can I add value? Where can I collaborate with someone?
Mm-hmm.
Is where CEOs achieve true success. When you have a collaborative environment, brand, business, that's
Mm-hmm.
what really moves things forward in a positive, sustainable way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Absolutely.
Man. So, Christy, we're coming up to the end of our time together today. And I mean, so much goodness has been shared. I definitely would love to have you on again in the future and hear how things are going. But what we always ask our people that we interview, what is one piece of advice or just one piece of information, something that you want to leave our listeners with, to either challenge them or something for them to think about, a takeaway?
This is coming from the lady I got to walk with this morning. She is going through a job search and dating later in life. And there was so much conversation about comparison. And there's a lot of ways to feel lack and less in those situations. And no matter what season you are in or where you are going, what you're going through, I want you to ask yourself, what am I celebrating about me today?
Yeah.
It is so easy to sit there and make a list of all of the things that we are not as a person, all the things that we are not accomplishing, all the things and ways that we haven't measured up or achieved what we wanted.
Yeah.
But what about the things that we do get to do, be, and show up as? How are we celebrating that about ourselves? Why are we waiting for everybody else to point them out?
Right. Yeah, that's a painful
Mhm.
place to be.
Cherry, you know, I start almost every video with a celebration from the day before.
Yep.
Nice. That's
And
awesome.
that's the biggest mindset flex in the world.
Yeah. It's another way to look at gratitude, I think, and kind of a fun way. I mean, gratitude's fun, but sometimes it can be like, okay, like what else am I grateful for? We talked about this with Sally, and she's like, well, you can't fake it till you make it on gratitude, but you can certainly celebrate something every day. And yeah, make it personal. As we're starting out in the CEO, as you're seeing yourself as the CEO, what do you celebrate about yourself?
Yeah.
It's a good question. It's a good reflection. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much today, Christy, for sharing your wisdom and your presence. It's been so eye-opening. It's really been a pleasure getting to chat with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for having me and extended the offer. And I look forward to coming back and staying connected with you and all of the goddesses in your community and
Yes,
see how we can continue to grow and evolve together.
absolutely.
Definitely.
I look
And
forward.
goddesses, we're definitely going to post all of Christy's like info and contacts and tags and everything in the episode notes. Um, and so if you have questions about cohesive confidence, color analysis, branding, definitely reach out to Christy. She has a lot of really, really exciting things coming up here in the next couple of weeks and throughout the year. So I definitely encourage you to do that. And remember, goddesses, you don't need a title to lead. You don't need approval to begin. You just need to recognize your own power and start choosing yourself. That's the CEO energy that we're reclaiming.
If today's conversation, it lit something up in you, share it, tag us, and don't forget, your brand isn't just what you build, it's who you become.
Yes. And as always, goddesses, stay radiant
Stay empowered and
and
keep
keep
going.
going.
Got it.
Got it.